I just got home.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Medicare Space Live Show. My name is Victoria Cabrera. What's up, Joe? Hashtag salty. What up? Oh my God, I just did that. I just did that this morning. I was like, what's up?
What does hashtag salty mean? I've been meaning to ask y'all
So when Matt Temin was here, it was Matt, Emily, all of you guys when we were like little Mexicans in a little Kia. He was salty about it. So now we've been doing this whole hashtag salty deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where the hashtag salty came, and that's our new little hashtag. So good morning, Joe. Good morning. And good morning to everybody that is joining in this morning. Thank you so much. We were out last week. I was salty. Tim and didn't come see me in Austin. He didn't go because it's like an hour drive. So you know those people from Missouri don't like to drive.
It's not that far.
You say that because you drive everywhere. Me and Zach were just talking about this yesterday. I was contemplating going and getting lunch.
Oh my God.
And I had a soup in my filing cabinet that's been there for like, I don't know, a month or two. It was sitting there waiting for me to be eaten.
Yeah.
And I was like,
was it like, eat me?
I was like, do I want to get in my car and drive and go get something? Or do I just want to go and eat my soup? So I just ate my soup. I was like, I don't want to drive. I drive a lot and I'm already used to like commute.
But live far too.
But I don't I don't want to have to go somewhere else.
And I miss the driving because I'm no longer at some of the locations that I was before. So I'm only at the senior center. And then when I do in-homes and the rest of the week, I feel like antsy, like I should be going somewhere.
Yeah.
I should be doing something. I'm used to driving everywhere.
Zach was saying the same thing too. He's like, oh, I love driving. He's like, I just love driving. I'm like, yeah, no.
Sylvia loves driving.
I do.
I think, yeah.
Sorry, I could not do the show without my coffee here next to me.
But that's your caffeine.
Good morning. Good morning, Josie. She says, good morning, beautiful lady.
Good morning.
You still think Sylvia's beautiful even though she's bobbed? No, just joking.
I'm going to the gym. So I figured if I wear my gym clothes, I will have no choice but to go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if not, I'll go home, I'll change, I end up messing around. And
you change to get comfortable and not work out.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm like, no. I did walk around Woodlawn the other day. It was 103 degrees.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
I know. I thought I was going to have a stroke.
God.
I was exhausted.
You shouldn't be walking around that
I didn't realize how hot it was until I was halfway there and I was on the phone.
You were already committed.
Yes. And so on my way over there, I was talking to a client. So I never checked the weather. I knew it was hot, but I didn't realize it was 103 degrees hot.
Well, Carmen's always gets on people. Well, not on them, but like through the car. She's like, that person should not be running. Your body increases 20 degrees when you're out there in the heat. So if it's 103 or 120, right. So technically you could have fried like an egg.
Yes. And the good thing about my walk is that I saw a couple with their 2 dogs and they had the shoes. And so I was like, thank you so much for putting shoes on your dogs. It's like y'all are the best parent.
Heck no, Mila would not be able to handle it 5 minutes out there in the heat right now.
It's too hot.
That's horrible.
Yes. Yeah. She's a little spoiled though. So what's up, guys? How was y'all's week without Victoria? Not that I'm a third person. Why am I talking to myself like I'm like not?
Like
here?
I wasn't here either.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't here?
No, I was here Tuesday.
Yeah,
was I here Wednesday?
Was it Monday? I thought you were here Monday.
No, I was here Tuesday. Then Wednesday I was, and then yesterday I was at the senior
center.
And then, I was only here one day, I guess.
You have to excuse this because our brain is still mush from being in Cancun last week. And some of us came back sick and dehydrated and broken backs and bruises. And I was getting a massage on Tuesday and I'm like, oh my God, like, when your back hurts so much that you can't breathe, like it wraps around your rib. I couldn't breathe. Like right now I can't breathe because it's wrapping around my rib cage. So I'm like, oh my God, right? And it was worse. It was way worse. So my massage therapist came over and she's like, do you know that you have a big, like a bruise right in the middle of your back? I was like, where? Point it out because my back is killing me. And so she pointed exactly where the pain was, and she's like, yeah, there's a bruise there. And I'm like, where would the bruises have come from? So then I was thinking there was only one day that it could have happened. And that was the day we were on the boat. And, it got a little,
got a little out of hand.
And I think maybe trying to get from the ladder. I don't realize how hard it is to get from the ladder up to the boat, because it's a big boat. They
were holding us. I mean, they were pulling us in, and still.
I know, but still the ladder does this. Yeah. So like you're on the ladder and you kind of go under.
I think things always look easier than what you think they are. It's like when you go to those little jungle gyms and you're like, oh, that looks so easy. Why are you do that? And then you go and get on it. You're like, oh crap.
Wait, is a jungle gym?
They still have them?
They're like these trampoline parks.
Oh yeah,
they have all these like different things you can do with the ropes and stuff. And
don't they have one down the street, or is it still there on Fredericksburg and 410? I remember I used to take my granddaughter there. That little jumping.
It's get air, like I don't know.
Yeah, air jumping thing.
I always think a jungle gym is like little kids just screaming and like coughing and sneezing everywhere.
I have a problem with all of that.
That was us when we were young. We didn't have hand sanitizer or anything like that. Too,
I'm starting to appreciate how flexible I used to be.
Like in time or like bones?
I don't want to know how flexible you are.
I used to be able to move my leg a lot further up than I can. No, but I'm saying like in general, like for stretching and stuff.
Oh yeah,
because that's so important.
Oh yes, my mom
talk about your back. Like it's so important to stay like limber, and I think that's why people do yoga too, is to stay flexible.
Well, too, when you put on weight, you don't realize like, okay, 10 pounds, 15 pounds. Now, I think Desiree said the other day, like my trainer said, but like if you grab like 15-pound weights and you've gained 30 pounds, in essence, that's how much is on your extras on your body.
I feel like when I gain weight, when I bend over and my rib cage is digging into my fat.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's it. I gotta lose some weight.
Here's how you know you're gaining weight. When it starts hurting to like, when you get your seat buckle and you're like, God, I hate putting on my seat buckle just because it hurts. So this morning I was like trying to buckle my seatbelt and like, how do like really big people do this? Because it's like, I'm like, ugh.
I was on the plane and I thought when I put on my seatbelt.
No, ma'am.
Sylvia and her phone going off.
Anytime your phone goes off, we're going to make you answer and put it on speaker.
You should.
We're going to, like the teachers do. Like the teachers, like, what do they do when they catch you with your phone or something?
I don't know.
They make you read. I didn't have phones.
Sylvia was like this. Boop, boop, boop. Those are the big phones.
No, it's like the rotary phones, the ones that go like this.
My brother still has this big old phone.
The rotary phones?
Yeah, I mean not the rotary phone. His first cell phone. Oh, it's about this big. It's about this big and this wide.
How are you guys doing this morning? I know we're talking nonsense as always. I thank you so much for joining in every Friday. Well, we try to be here every Friday, but August was a really busy month. We were in Belize. We were in Cancun. We took our company trip in Cancun last Friday, so we weren't here. But it's been a pretty busy last 30 days, I feel like, right? It's been crazy. How have you guys been doing? I see you guys tuning in into the show. Thank you so much. Are y'all glad that the kids are back in school? Like, I feel like if I was a parent, I'd be like, I'm in the money.
There was this HEB commercial this morning, and they're showing the parents with the kids all summer long, and the kids are running around and they're writing on the wall, and the parents are exhausted. And then you see them going off to school, and the parents are all dancing and having a glass of wine and just all happy. And I thought about you. I'm like,
no, that's not true. So I took the day off. I usually always take the first day of school off for the girls, and so I took the day off. Lorenzo went with me, and we took the girls to Maddie had her first day of kinder. So she started kinder. Alyssa, 7th grade, and Brooke started high school. And so like, I'm thinking to myself already, like, oh, I could do this. I could do that. Like literally, I just went home and I cleaned. Like I just cleaned. I was like, oh yeah.
But you're probably in your happiest moment.
Yeah, quiet.
I think though, and I was telling Zach, and he goes, I think you're probably doing it to distract yourself. I was like, yeah, probably not to think about Madison at school. Like I'm not going to be there for her. And then like, so that's what I do.
Lorenzo's probably like, yes, I get to sleep.
So he was, so he got to sleep. That was funny too. Cause Desiree was like, what did y'all do? What did you and Lorenzo do? I was like, he slept and I cleaned.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. It's funny because people think like, oh, you're going to have all this free time. And it's like, no, it just gives me time to clean my house.
Yeah.
Cause I normally don't get to do it. So it was nice because I really detailed the crap out of my restroom sinks. Like I went in there with the blade and I was like,
when was the last time you cleaned? No, I'm just kidding.
So I'm at the point where I am a clean freak. I try to keep things clean, but if you can't beat them, join them. So I joke around with my sister and my mom, and I'm like, so I keep my vision at this.
Do you hear that? I'm talking to my sisters right now. Do you hear that?
And I'm like, hey girls, how are you doing? I don't look down to maintain my happiness.
Yes.
Because I can't. Like it's literally like you're fighting the waves, like you're crashing into the waves, and the waves are just pushing you back. Clothes, and you're like trying to fight them, and they're just pushing you back.
Claudia said,
and I'm
she
like,
said,
yeah,
she's a clean freak.
Yeah, no. There's certain things I will not let them get away with. Like I'm really big about the toilet seat going down, not like the toilet seat, but like the cover going down. Cause I truly believe like when you flush, everything flies everywhere.
Yeah, I'm a big thing.
So everybody knows when you use my restroom, and if I find that seat up, I'm like, who left that seat up? So there's certain things I won't let go, but I try to keep up with it, but to maintain the level of cleanliness I used to.
Yeah. And you have 3, I had 2, and there was the same way. Their bedrooms, underneath their beds. I would go, they call it mommy clean because I would tell them to clean.
Oh, that's cute.
And did you clean the house? Yes. Mommy clean? No, almost. So even my daughter, when I go out of town, she stays there and watches my dogs, takes care of them. And so she has to clean because she's a mess. She's always with her projects. So she's trying to clean, and I'll get home and it looks clean, but I can always see where
it could have been better.
Yes, where it could have been better. She's like, I know, mommy clean.
Let's love the post if you are a clean freak, and put like an angry thing if you're not and you hate cleaning. Put an angry face if you hate cleaning. Put a love post if you love cleaning. What's up, Eric Velasquez? How are you doing? Good morning, Claudia. Good morning, Josie. Thank you so much for. And now more people are going to be like, why are they putting anger on the post? Gotta get that curiosity going.
It's one of those things. Like I at the gym with this girl one time when I first started, because when I would go into gyms, they would send me there because my bosses knew how I was. So I normally went into gyms that were really, really dirty to go clean them up, get them better, right? And one time, the last gym I was at, the girl walks in and she goes, you must really like to clean, huh?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I just really hate to see things dirty.
Yeah.
See, and I like to clean. I like to clean. I'll sweep and mop my house if I can every day. I clean my toilets every day. Every day I clean my, because I always figure you use them every day.
You got to clean them every day.
So my brother's living with me and he's like, you cleaned yesterday. It's like, okay,
did you take a shower yesterday?
Yeah.
So, oh man. Okay. So let's see. Claudia says her kids made her join the dark side. So she says that your kids made you join the dark side.
I like that.
My mom walks into my house and she's like, oh no, Adriana, you should never be like this. I'm like, I'm sorry, I joined them.
Claudia says, I love to clean. Is that true?
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
She does.
Yeah.
Eric says he cusses when he cleans. That sounds like me.
It's therapeutic.
I usually stress clean. So I go through these modes. I hate cleaning. I'm not dirty.
No,
by any means.
She's not.
Except
so there's a difference between being messy and being dirty.
Yeah.
I would say you're a little bit messy. Carmenza would probably agree.
Yeah.
But you're not dirty.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Because I feel like I could hire somebody to just clean for me. And that's the way I think. Like, I don't feel like I should spend my time cleaning when I can delegate that somewhere else and focus on the things that I need to do.
Yeah.
But she will say, like, so when you go to my house, guys, if you ever go to my house, I don't know why you would, but if you ever do go to my house you walk in and it feels like, those model homes.
It's very clean. I've been there.
If you go to the home, it looks like a model home. You're like, I don't want to touch. Like when my family, even my nephews and nieces, they're like, they don't want to touch anything.
It's like a museum
because it's so clean, and everything has to be in place. And she's not bad where she gets after me if things are not in place. But sometimes I do things on purpose, like, because I'm just the way she's trying to make me create a habit. I'm trying to help her create a habit to see that it ain't going to be a habit, And so there's a routine that we have. So every Saturday or Sunday, we go to our favorite coffee shop, Estate Coffee, down the street from our house on Houston. And I know cappuccinos have 2 espresso shots. Well, Carmen's is very sensitive to caffeine. So every time she drinks a coffee, she's like, oh, babe, this is the day we're going to relax and we're going to hang out. And then I'm like, okay. So after we have,
I already know how this ends.
She's like, okay, but first I'm just going to put a load to wash. So that way I don't have to worry about it. And then a load becomes organizing her closet. And organizing her closet becomes cleaning the bathrooms and then cleaning the bath. And then it becomes just start to finish. Granted, most of our cleaning lady comes every 2 weeks. And so typically she always wants to clean the weeks that our cleaning lady is going to come.
I would have a cleaning lady too, but here's where my problem would come in. I agree with you. Like, I think if you have the ability to pay somebody to clean your house, right? I think that's great, right? But here's what I would do. I would literally start cleaning with the cleaning lady.
Yes, I used to clean before my cleaning lady got there.
I would be like, hey, what are we doing today? Because I would probably be like, that's not the sponge you use for that. That sponge is for that.
Oh my God.
Did you just use the same towel to wipe that down to clean that? That would be me. That's why I couldn't hire a cleaning lady.
Guys, get this. I work. Okay. I work with my wife. I don't want to make that sound weird.
We have the same personality.
So it just turns out.
And I work with my husband because she's messy. Like my husband. It's almost like God put us together and was like, we're going to put these people together so that they can learn from each other. Because my husband and her are the same way. They can't use a coupon to save their life.
Hey, and I'm always telling Adriana, like, take it easy on Lorenzo. Like, and this is just the way we are.
Like, him. Poor thing.
And I'm always like telling her, did you remember to take Carmen's Tupperware? Did you clean that up? Don't forget her stuff.
She'll leave them by the door.
Yes.
This stack of Tupperware by the door.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know what it is, Just I loathe washing dishes.
Oh, that's Lorenzo. He hates it too.
I told Carmen that the day we can afford a live-in person to just clean for us, and
it's
she's
gonna
like,
happen.
Babe, we don't have any dishes. It's just 2 of us. I'm like, for some reason, it feels like the freaking Eiffel Tower of dishes. When I hate dishes, and I think it's because, and my mom's listening probably, is that when we were young, we had to clean dishes all the time, and there was 8 of us, eight people in a little house and a little tiny sink, and the water pressure was not that great. And so we were always washing dishes. And so I think that's why I hate
You're traumatized.
I always have a lot of dishes and it's just
you.
me.
But you make these grand meals all the time.
So yeah, that's why I guess I do.
Let us know in the comments what your worst household, like what you hate doing in your household, like that has to do with cleaning or laundry or dishes or whatever it might be. Let us know what the worst thing that you cannot stand to. Go.
I would say that I don't like, that we should be easier, is baseboards. I hate the baseboards of your house.
Okay, so you're probably the only one that cleans your baseboards.
You see, I do those pretty much once a week. I sweep the baseboards all around.
I'll do those in the kitchen, but like to keep up with the rest of the house.
So you hate cleaning your baseboards. How about you, Sylvia? What do you hate?
I hate to fold.
You hate to fold clothes? Yeah.
I do it because my drawers are all perfect. My socks, my underwear, everything's perfect. But folding, it's like I would just
now you just gave somebody a visual of you folding your underwear.
Yes. They're like little pillows. I like to fold them. Like this. Yeah. No, I fold them like this and then like this.
Well, at least they're not like this.
I got that one all late.
No, mine would be this big.
Oh my God, y'all remember that movie Shallow Hal?
She throws the underwear and he's like, what the heck?
because he can't, you know.
Get over here, Houdini.
So when my daughter went off to college, I gained a lot of weight. I was real depressed, and I used to cry all the time. And
you got to tell the story.
And so I was real upset because she went to college, and I cried all the time, and I gained a lot of weight. I took like 2-3 weeks off because I couldn't get up to go to work because I was so depressed. So 2 things happened aside from me gaining so much weight and looking like Shallow Hal. There's a picture of me at Christmas, and I look just like her. I've gained so much weight. The other thing I did is that I always take my clothes to the cleaners all the time. And so I was managing, and I would wear skirts and a blazer because I would have my phone and my keys and, you know, everything. And so after like a month and a half, I started going back to work, started taking my clothes, and my clothes didn't fit me. And so I thought they shrank my clothes. So I got them all back in the hanger, and I took them across the street on, what is it, McCullough Hildebrand, and I told them, you shrank my clothes. And they're like, no, we didn't. I'm like, yes, I've been going to this place for years, like 15 years. They're like, no, we did not shrink your clothes. Well, I got home, and my sister tells me, they didn't shrink your clothes. I think you've gained weight.
Oh,
well, I gained so much weight that I wasn't even aware of the fact that I had gained so much weight. So my clothes, they literally didn't. So
you
fit
blamed
me.
the dry cleaners.
And I went and I was yelling and screaming. I told them I have this $50 skirt. Back then, that was a lot. $50 pair of skirt and $100 suit, and none of it. Look at it. It doesn't fit me. And it was because my arms had grown twice in size.
I can't imagine the dry cleaner guy being like, this lady's in denial.
I was so embarrassed. After that, I was so embarrassed. I got on a diet.
Well, what a gentleman that was it a guy?
Yes, he
what
never
a gentleman
said
that he didn't say anything to you, because he could have been a real jerk.
Yeah,
and been
because
like,
obviously
ma'am,
this size 4 skirt is not going to fit this size 12 woman that's walking in, because that's what my size was. So he's like,
yeah,
this is only half of you now.
Yeah, this is not adding up.
Well, this is where we talk a little bit of insurance, or no, this is where we talk a little bit of everything else. And then, but so, yeah, we just like to chit chat. We haven't chit chatted in a while. It's been a while. So someone is shrinking your clothes. That's what Emily says.
Yeah.
Emily, I sent you a link if you want to join in the convo. I'd love to.
She's saying.
She says, I want to send me what she is drinking. Are you talking about me? Are you talking about what I'm drinking? I'm drinking coffee. What Sylvia's drinking? I don't know.
It's a passion fruit.
Oh, passion fruit. Yeah. What is that? Is it the fruit that's
chunky? It's pineapple,
chunky
monkey.
My mom says
only 110 calories.
My mom says I hate socks, love everything else.
I
I like the socks.
Me too. That's the easiest part.
It's kind of like a little.
I hate the
scavenger. It's a scavenger hunt. You're like, ooh, match. Ooh, match.
When my kids were little, I would throw all their socks away. At the beginning of school, I would buy them all identical socks. Nobody had different color socks because I would lose half of the socks, and then
unless they're a teenage boy, I don't want to be
okay.
No,
So
if they're old enough to buy their own socks, then they can buy their own socks.
Another thing
I bought them, they're all the colors.
Another thing I give up on is dressing my children. So the middle one, she's a little wild child. And so she will occasionally go to the store, and her socks are different sizes and they're different colors. And I remember telling her one time, she's like, why does it matter? Like, why do you care? And I'm like, okay. So she'll go to school with mismatched socks. She'll go to school and she has matching socks, but she just goes everywhere with mismatched socks.
We got a special guest coming in. Hold on. We got a special guest coming in. Hold on. Let's see if we can bring her. Oh,
there she is.
Whoa, Miss Emily Trevino.
Good morning, Emily. How are you?
Can you hear us? Oh, we
can't hear you.
Oh, no. She's on mute.
Hey, this is me. No.
Did you mute her?
No. We can hear her. You got to figure it out. While Emily's figuring it out, Andrea says, hello from the new Corpus office.
Woo.
Yeah, it was really nice. I was down there. It was really, really, really nice. Miss Emily, come on. Oh, who are these guys behind us?
I have air condition problems.
Yeah, we can't hear you, ma'am.
I can't hear you.
Problem. It's not
Well,
my
I don't
problem.
know what I'm doing.
I don't know what you're doing either.
Maybe it's me. Let me see. Can I hear? No. All right. Well, sorry.
Sorry, bye.
Let me see something real quick. Sorry, bye. Well, my bad. I can hear her. Interesting. Oh, maybe it's me that I can't hear her.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, no, I can hear you.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can.
there you are. Cool.
I was like, my computer
Miss
only works
Emily
on
Trevino. back in the. Oh, they can't hear you though.
We can't hear you. Okay.
Oh, it's
That's
okay.
okay.
I can hear you. What's up,
She
Emily?
can tell us what she said.
We have our air conditioning didn't work.
Oh, she's getting her AC. She's getting her AC situated. She said.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Lucky you.
Now, next time y'all are gonna have to have your headsets on, so that way y'all. Can
Yeah.
hear. And then remind me, this has to be one of these has to be.
Okay.
So what's up? What are you doing?
Just I have this movable desk, so I'm just moving around
Uh-huh.
the office because I got kicked out of my space because I'm getting my air conditioning worked on.
So we wanted to bring you on to ask you a very serious question.
Oh God, what is it?
Okay.
Is it paella?
Ooh, paella.
Paella.
What is your very worst? What do you hate? What is your very worst home chore to do?
Home chore laundry?
Laundry.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate putting it up. I hate putting it up. It's the worst. I don't mind doing it, but I need someone to come like fold it and put it up. It just sits on a fancy chair in my living room.
She says all her clothes sits on a fancy chair in the living room. All right. Well, since the girls can't hear you, and next time we'll be more prepared, we're gonna let you go. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
That was funny. Hey, we should start doing that. Getting. We could put the little thing
But
in the
we
chat.
never say who it is.
Huh?
Special
surprise
guest.
guest.
You have to tune in.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I like
Surprise
it.
guest situation.
Yes.
Let me.
Or a cuckoo guess.
A cuckoo guess. How's everybody doing? So what is going on while we were gone, while I was gone? What's been going on in the insurance world, the Medicare world? What's happening? What's happening, Captain?
So my issues right now is with Social Security. I've got a couple of clients that they still have not gotten a Part B. One of them sent her paperwork in January.
Holy moly.
And I think I've mentioned this, her and her husband. He got it in March. She still has it. And we call at least once a month. It's there. We have it. We're working on it. The other one is a gentleman who quit work in the end of May and called Social Security and asked them, do I need to pick up the Part B? And of course they told him, no, you don't have to pick it up, which he doesn't. Unfortunately, they didn't tell him. So then he starts hearing all these things about the penalty. I met with him yesterday. He did finally send in the 40B for his employer to verify that he had credible coverage. He works for the government. So he lost his coverage in May. They just received it yesterday, and they told him it's going to take 15 weeks for him to get it back. Yes, exactly. So he's panicking. So I called Social Security. Social Security said that since they haven't received that paperwork from his employee, they can send the 1095C and the check stub and use that as proof. So he can get the Part B now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then once he gets the paperwork, then they can submit that. But at least he'll get that now.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they're gonna do, hopefully today, and get it because he needs it.
And one thing that
15 weeks, that's crazy.
15 weeks, isn't that crazy?
Emily had put down the 2,000 cap on RX. Yeah, so they had, but the new legislation, what's it called, Emily? I forget. It was I put it down somewhere. So in 2025, there's going to be new legislation that's passed with Medicare where they put a cap on the medications at 2,000, which would be amazing if they did that. I always hate to, obviously it's there, right? But you just never know because that's around the time when the new elections start, right? So we just never know what's going to happen. Every time something gets approved, then somebody's always coming in and
they
saying
flip
no.
it over.
But one thing I've noticed is that we don't the on the healthcare side, I don't really see when it's for the better. I feel like that's for the better.
Yes.
And that's gonna actually, so like with TRS, TRS, one of the main reasons why people on TRS do not leave their coverage, because with TRS, when they become Medicare eligible, they go into TRS care, and that is a Medicare Advantage plan, right? And here in Texas or wherever you're at, if they leave that coverage, one, they can't go back, right? They can't go back to that plan. And number two, there is no donut hole. So that's what's been affecting people from making changes. Now, it's not the greatest coverage, I don't feel.
Yeah.
But I think the two things that are holding people on TRS from getting off of that coverage is one, that the fear that they can't go back, right? And number two is that they the donut hole, that they're going to pay extremely high cost. The question is, what will the cap do to the taxes and or products? Yes. So yes, I feel, and this is why I love having elite friends in the Medicare space, is what I feel, and I'm sure Emily can agree, is that all that's going to do is make taxes go up, right? And then also for our Medicare beneficiaries, that cost has to be passed on somewhere. So if it's not being passed on the medication side, it's going to be passed on either in Part B premiums or Medicare Advantage plans start increasing, prescription drug plans start increasing, or the plans are not going to be as rich, right? So there's always a give and take to everything that that happens. But I would say that's a kind of good, I think even if the plan premiums went up by $20, $30 a month, or let's say, it's still a good trade-off. However, then you get to that conversation. Well, what if, Emily said either taxes go up or benefits reduce. Yep. Right. But what if I'm not taking medications, and what if I'm healthy and then you get into the point where people are like, well, I'm healthy, and why am I having to pay for other people's stuff, right? So that's kind of what happened with Obamacare. If Emily's ACA queen over there, so she could probably agree when this ACA law passed in 2008, that people were like, well, why do we have to pay more for the sick people? That's what was happening. So I think there's going to be a little bit of that happens, but I feel like at some point everybody's going to have to take medications unless we start seeing a lot more people getting healthier and stop eating sugar and all that good stuff. Government always means well, but leaves everyone else to figure it out. Just like what's going on with our kind of rules with the whole recording of the calls and stuff like that. Premiums went way up, so the middle class struggle and they don't qualify for help. Yes, on the ACA side. I remember when I started in health insurance in 2005. We were selling individual health insurance to under 65. I always say under 65 because people sometimes don't know the difference, right? And when we were selling health insurance back then, it was similar to life insurance where you had to undergo underwriting, and you went through like an 80 question application where we were learning all kinds of medical terms. Like I learned all kinds of stuff. And we even had to ask have any STDs within the last 3 years?
Oh my God.
And then I'd have people be like, herpes. Oh my God. They'd be like, are you serious?
I guess you want to know everything.
God, that's crazy.
Now this was back then before the ACA, and of course I only got into it in 2005. Can you imagine people before me, right? That was a generalized statement. My bad. Some middle class don't qualify, but really people who used to be able to afford insurance really cannot as much before. That's a way better way of saying it. Yeah, no, I mean, I remember for a 30, 40-year-old back then, the prices were only like $120 a month. And that was for a decent plan.
I remember.
Yes, I was paying $110.
Yeah.
For it seemed like for a long time. I always had insurance because I worked at a restaurant. A lot of them didn't provide insurance. And so 110 was great. Yeah. With prescription, some of them, I think the most deductible I ever had was like 500. And I thought, oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah. Now when
compared to nowadays, 5,000.
Yeah. We're like, oh, right. $3,500 deductible. We consider that a low deductible for the underage market. Now, I don't know, like there's always a give and take, right? So like back then it was crappy when you have to tell somebody that was diabetic that they couldn't get the health insurance, that they had to go through the Texas state, Texas insurance risk pool. And then that was similar to kind of the Obamacare or ACA plans now, where they don't have to go under underwriting, but the cost was ginormous. It was like, okay, you can get it, but it's going to be like $800 a month. And they're like, what? And back then, not even mortgages were that much, right? So it's always been one of those, like, what's the right way? What's the wrong way? You know, and then with the ACA stuff, when they try to implement, like force everybody to get it, or if you don't get it,
penalty,
then you get a penalty. Then people were like, well, then I'll just pay the penalty because the penalty is less. But then you start thinking about the why of having health insurance. The reason why you have health insurance is not to avoid a penalty. It was to protect you from a medical situation happening.
I think during COVID, I think people really saw the need for insurance. It's crazy because it was right. It was almost like you had to go through all these horrible things, see all these people die, get the medical bills, and then really appreciate the need for insurance. Right. I've been fortunate enough. I've never really had to go without insurance. I've always had private insurance, whether that was through my parents or through Lorenzo. So like, I don't take it for granted. I look at the ACA plans and I'm like, I know they're not the best, but here's the deal. It's better than having absolutely nothing. You take $100,000 bill and your deductible may be X, but it's a lot less expensive, right? Than you having to pay $100,000 bill from the hospital if something happens to you. It's the same thing. We were having a conversation the other day in the office about the importance of life insurance, right? Desiree was talking about a friend of hers and saying like, hey, I'm really trying to convince this person they should get life insurance. And Zach and I were talking, and again, it's because it's not a tangible item that you can hold, right? Like you can see it, you can smell it, you can feel it. So people are like, oh, I don't need that. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but amongst certain communities, people feel the need that they're like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. And it's like, well, then you find yourself selling barbecue plates. You sell yourself having to ask for money, GoFundMe. If you do it when you're really young, and I was telling them, I'm like, my mom always stressed to us the importance of having life insurance and how important it is for you to take care of that, because the last thing you want to do is leave a burden for somebody else. How are they going to bury you? How are you going to take care of all those costs? So, people may think it's not unnecessary, but it really is necessary.
Yeah. And for the people that have, like with my dad's situation, he had life insurance for years and years. And the last 2 years when he got dementia, he let it lapse. And my brother wasn't aware of it. Nobody was. We just thought it was automatic. And when he passed, we had the life insurance and it hadn't been paid in like a year. And so he had paid it for years and years, and we just weren't aware. And so that, with our senior parents, we need to look at their paperwork. We need to go back and, hey, Mom, do you have a life insurance? How are you paying it? Are they taking it out of your Social Security monthly, every month? Or, somebody has to be, second in line to help the parents when this happens, because, we all had, and my dad could afford it. It wasn't that he needed money or anything. It just was one of those things when he got dementia, that his taxes, his insurance on the buildings, everything was crazy. And so I always stress, okay, you have this life insurance. Where are they taking it out? Have you told your kids, if something happens, because if they're taking it out of their check and they move checking accounts, they might not remember that they're having this withdrawal from 20 years ago.
Well, here's the thing. There's two things, right? There's always two things is what prevents people from doing. Well, there's three things. Okay. I'm going to name the three that I feel that prevents people from doing it. Number one, lack of education. Right. They just don't know. There's so many IUL, whole life, term life, ROP, this, that, like funeral expense, final expense. Like they don't know.
That's analysis by paralysis.
Analysis by paralysis. Paralysis by analysis.
There you go.
Number two is they think it's not affordable. They hear life insurance is for people that have money, right?
Yeah.
I can't afford that. That's number 2. And number 3, some of them will think that their health is preventing them, which in most cases it does, but there's always ways that we could possibly help, possibly not every time. So those 3 things. So when you look at the first 2, those are usually the main factors of why, and there's a 4th one. The 4th one is the stubbornness, really.
Yeah.
The 4th one is people saying, well, I just want to be cremated and it doesn't cost. Okay, well, cremation, let's say it's 15, 2,000, whatever, $3,000, $4,000. Where's that money going to come from? Do you have it? And number 2, you don't think about your death per se, like, okay, it's going to pay for my death. No, you have to think about things you have lingering. Do you have a loan? Did you take out a little payday loan to pay the bills this month? Did you take out a big loan to pay the mortgage? Did you take out this? And what when you do pass, who is that lien going to pass on to?
Yeah.
Right. And let's say you paid off your house, but you took out a little loan, or you got your roof fixed and you didn't pay the roofer all the way. Well, guess what? That contractor could put a lien on the house, and that lien cannot be released until,
and if you owe the IRS, that's another thing, and that's what happened with us. My dad hadn't paid his taxes in that year. It wasn't a whole lot, but all of that fell on my brother, and so when I went to the lawyer to go do my will, that's one of the things he said. He said, I hate to tell you, but because he's white, Anglo, he's like, Mexicans are really bad about getting life insurance.
It's funny because I heard the same comment the other day.
And I'm like,
I think it has a lot to do with what Victoria said.
Yeah.
I think it's because, and maybe it's not because they're not educated. I think it's just a perception that somebody else is going to take care of it. It's somebody else's problem. Let them deal with it. I'm going to be dead. Why am I going to worry about that? And that's exactly what we were talking about in the office. I'm like, but that's such an ugly thought process to have. Like why? Like, why would you do that to somebody? Why would you want to leave that burden on somebody?
And he was saying that a lot of them that have companies, maybe $1 million companies, $2 million. So even though they're small companies, air condition, electrical, whatever it is, they don't realize that, if you die, what's going to happen to the trucks that you still owe, and the building, and your employees, and your wife, and all that.
Well, that's what you were talking about that you and Carmenza did, right? So it's a whole process of being diligent, and whether you have children or you don't have children, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have kids. And it's like, well, do you have brothers and sisters? Do you have nieces and nephews? Hey, people change. When people pass away, their mindset changes. They're like, hey, what did they leave me? Hey, what did this?
Yeah.
And so money can change people.
Even dogs.
It's really important.
That's what I have my dog's will to my daughter.
Emily said, I think the reason why, and Emily's half and half, so she could talk to both sides.
Okay. Talk to me on the Mexican side.
So on the Mexican side.
On the
Mexican side, she says, the Sancha. That's why they don't get life insurance. They don't want the Sancha getting the money.
That you could. I think you're right.
That's hilarious. But that's why you do a will.
That's why you do well.
And then some dumb guy would put Sancha.
My Sancha.
Which one?
The flavor of the month.
Will the real Sancha please stand up?
Yeah. No kidding.
She says, I swear that's what I was told. You're probably right.
Probably. It makes sense.
Somebody else said insurance isn't something you buy when you need it, but something you buy when you don't need it. So that way you do need it. It's there for you. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're not just saying this because we're insurance agents, right?
It's just like an umbrella. People buy umbrellas. You're not supposed to buy it when it's raining. You're supposed to have it in your car so you're ready for when it rains. It's like everything in life, right? It's like therapy. People take therapy when they're already at their worst. It's like, take it before you get there. So that way you know how to deal with it at that point.
You know what's crazy? And I'm going to no bashing on the PNC agents out there because I love you guys too. I have a special love for y'all because that's
my heart.
That is a hard, because I used to sell PNC. I'm still PNC licensed.
My sister did that forever.
Your sister was. Here's the thing: the people, and that includes us, right? We can grasp the concept of getting insurance immediately on our car.
Absolutely.
I can't drive off this lot with
Exactly.
my baby. My truck needs insurance. I cannot scratch it. Hell, whatever. Give it to me. I'll pay $300, $400. Oh, had a DUI. I'll pay $800, whatever, right? They're willing to pay that much money to protect the car, right? And they understand the concept of, if I crash my car, I can't go get insurance, right?
Yeah.
But people cannot grasp the concept of, if you're unhealthy and you come to me for health insurance, it's kind of already too late.
It's a tangible that they can see the car.
Wow, it's like if you start
them,
looking at your body as an asset, which it is, right? It's an asset. It's your temple. You have to take care of it, just like you give it vitamins and you give it water and food. You have to protect it against if you die. What happens if you die?
Yeah,
and they don't. They see it completely different.
Yeah, they do.
Well, and not just the life insurance, but the health insurance too. Like trust me, like. Yeah. So, but I mean, we're not saying things to make you feel bad or like Victoria, but because if I were to go audit you right now, if you're listening and you don't have health insurance and I go audit you, I was doing the math. Every time I go to Starbucks, I'm spending $11. 11 times 20, because there's 20 days in a month that I actually work because I take the weekends off.
She's a numbers gal.
That is not counting the week ends, because I do spend money on coffee.
That's what I was gonna say.
But if I spent, let's just dumb it down to $10. Sometimes it's $20, but let's just say 10. That's $200 a month on coffee.
That's the way I am.
And Sylvia probably spends way more because she's buying everybody in the freaking office coffee and donuts. I'm like, stop, because that's about you can go upgrade your Lexus for that extra $400 a month. Stop buying us coffee. She's like, damn, if you put it that way.
I thought about that.
See, I think about that stuff and it drives Lorenzo nuts.
I'm like she's far away from finished paying it. So I'm like, should I start all over?
No, I'm almost done paying my car too. It's going to Brooks.
That's why I have it. But let me tell you, I've gone several times this year, real slow, doing the drive-through, looking at the Lexus.
See, I think about stuff like that too. So like when Lorenzo and I first moved out, and of course there's like this weird period when you first move out with somebody where you don't want to talk about money, or you don't want to talk about their money, because they're gonna be like, what the, this is your business, my money, girl. Like, what are you telling? So I very gently had the conversation with him. I remember sitting down with him. I'm like, hey, babe, can I talk to you? He's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, so you eat out every day. And you spend about $20 a day every day for lunch, times that times 5, times that times this many days. I was like, this is how much money you're spending on making. I was like, so like if you were to take that money and go buy food at the store and make sandwiches for lunch or something different, you could save so much more money. And he literally looked at me and he was like,
yeah, are you gonna make it? Yeah, I spend a lot of money at lunch, and I've realized that everything, my bill has gone at least $10 to $15 more for lunch.
So what we're saying is, because I need to do this to myself. So I'm what's that phrase? Need to take.
You're not the exception to the rule.
I'm not the exception to the rule, but I was listening to this podcast the other day, really good podcast. If you're in business, go follow him, Alex Hermosi. But he was talking about auditing your day. Mm-hmm. Or was it Emily Trevino? I don't know. She always throws some bombs about business too. But auditing your day and really looking at your day on what you're doing. Documenting how long did I look at my phone on Facebook? 10 minutes. At 12:15, I was on Facebook from 12:15 to 10:15. I spent this much money on this. I did this. If you were to audit your day, because when I worked at the bank, every time Veronica, my boss at the time, she said, we're going to get audited next week. And we're like, crap. We would get so scared about getting audited, especially at the bank. You have to do we did everything right because it's already highly regulated, but you couldn't do like nothing. So we were auditing our day like shit. Okay, we got to audit ourselves before we get audited. If we were to treat our day or our monthly bills, okay, let's audit. How much are we? And if you're like me, we pretend we're not, like, it's imaginary money. I try not to. I'm out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't spend that money at Starbucks. That doesn't count.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't take everybody out to eat $100. That doesn't count. No, it all counts. It all counts. And then you'd be surprised if I were to look at my credit card bill and look how much actually goes to like stuff that I shouldn't be. I'm like, oh my God, I could probably get my truck that I want.
Yeah. And not just that, but I was looking at my account and I've got all these little automatic once a month. And I'm thinking, what is that for? That I signed up for like a year ago and I'm still paying $20, $30 a month. And I don't even know. And I need to do that. When I saw that a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I'm like, I need to really sit down and
trim the fat.
Yes,
trim
just, you know.
And that's why I still let Carmenza do my taxes, because she's my CPA.
And your wife.
And my wife.
And your wife.
But if I were to hire like a legit bookkeeper, they'd be telling, what are you doing, Victoria? Cut that.
I actually kind of do that to her now. I'm like, Victoria, we don't need that. No, don't get that.
And my excuse is that with my CPA, everything goes, you know, for my taxes is a tax deductible, you know? So he never tells me.
Don't say who that is, okay? Because
I mean, because they're legitimate things that I'm buying and purchasing and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, he never tells me you've spent too much. You know?
Well, but because I have rents and salaries and, you know, all this other stuff, there are things probably they would tell me, okay, that needs no.
Yeah.
That needs no. And why are you spending that much there? And how much you're getting back here? And then I'd be like, crap, just leave me alone. Let me just spend my money.
Yeah. I'm going to do that.
But next year, I told Carmenza, okay, babe, I'm going to, get that out of your hands because it's not fair to her because she has a full-time job, and put it into somebody else's hands. And then that way they audit my day. They're auditing my week. They're auditing my month. But going back to insurance. Okay. Audit your month. Can you carve out $50, $60, $70, $100? Always make it $100 at the very least. Just make it $100. So that way there's a little buffer. So that way you give yourself that. $100, guys, is not that much a month when you really, really think about it. And to be honest, you can't even go to Bill Miller's and get a meal for under $15 anymore.
Yeah.
Make a commitment.
Yes.
Make a commitment to do that. Because it's going to pay off in the long run. God forbid something happens. Like I had told Victoria, I'm like, so Lorenzo has life insurance through his job. It's quite a bit of money. It's a lot. But again, you think to yourself, well, what if he gets laid off? What if he quits? What if something happens? That insurance doesn't carry over from your employee. Like it doesn't leave with you. Right. So I told Victoria, I was like, it's really important that we get one because, you know, we have a home, we own a home, we have 3 daughters. Like, you know, I want to make sure that if something happens to him, like they're taken care of, you know, or we're taken care of, and he wants the same as well. So I made that commitment to Victoria. I need to get him his life policy by this date. And I stuck to it. And I told her, I was like, okay, I'm at the last month. Like we have to do it this month. We have to do it. And you'll make it work because it's something really important.
And are you, is it like, oh my God,
is it breaking the bank now?
Exactly. Cause you tweak things like,
I just don't feed Lorenzo anymore. I'm just kidding. Yeah, right.
And you know what? I quoted a friend a year ago, and she called me this week all panicking because she's gonna be 65 next year.
Ooh.
And she's like, we have to sit down, not till January. She goes, but okay, I really need my life insurance. I'm like, my friend X. And I'm like, you know, we should have done this years ago. She's like, I know, but now for sure. And when I went to requote her, it went up $30. And so I had to call her back and tell her, I told you this is going to happen. And you've waited and waited. And I've quoted her, I don't know how many times. And she's like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then she's like me. She spends money like crazy and vacations and stuff. And for that, you know, 100, 150, for some reason, we spend that every Friday night when we go have a drink. Like literally, we spend that every Friday night or Saturday night.
Sylvia wanted to spend $300 on a bottle of wine in Mexico.
They didn't let me.
And it was not 300 pesos. I was like, oh, 300 pesos? That's pretty good. She's like, no, $300. I was like, no, ma'am. No. We'll save that.
Had she not been there, I would have spent it.
You could have bought like a lot of bottles of tequila.
Yeah, but $300 for a bottle of wine in Mexico, no. Like, no,
Mm-mm.
we'll just wait till we get back to States, go to Bohannon's and then order that same
That's
bottle.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, when can we go?
Talking about not being wasteful.
I know, right? All right. Anyway, so
but-
now she's got to figure out. Now it's like you're at the very end. You have to get it, because if not, if you're gonna wait,
What do
it's
you
gonna
say?
go back.
You're never going to be any.
You're never going to be
Younger.
any younger and healthier than you are today.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe richer.
Stop
but not
putting it
younger.
off. Stop putting it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something rather than nothing. I even get scared. I'm like, man, I know I got a good size policy, but I'm like, I might need more. Because so when I think about the insurance, I'm like, okay, well, eventually then they have what's called key employee insurance. And then they have, like, I need to be what happens if I die?
Mhm.
Who's going to run the show?
Yeah.
Adriana Adriana probably could do it, but is she going to want to do it? Is Sylvia going to want to do it? Like, what if, what if I die? So then I leave them without salary for a year or whatever, like that would suck. Right. So then I think, okay, we got to start looking at that. And if you're a business owner, are you thinking like that? So if you are the magic sauce in your business, right? And ask yourself, if you were to die today, would the business still run? And will your people be taken care of?
What it happened when we went on our trip and you had to take one flight, and Clemens had to take another one.
Oh
we
my
think
God.
for a split second,
Woo.
even though she's married, that's her partner, it would affect me because of our relationship, our business relationship. And so on the way over there, her and I were like, why did it happen? Well, maybe because if the one of the plane goes down, at least one of us would survive. And I'm thinking about my income with her. And so then we're thinking of the dog. And so it just started snowballing, talking about it.
Yeah.
But it does,
And this was very minor turbulence.
very, very.
She's like, oh, hey, the plane literally went like, oh my God, guys.
But then Carmenza, when she got off her plane, she's like, oh my God, babe, it was the worst flight. Like, I thought I was going to die. Like, I thought that's why we got separated. And so we were all thinking the same thing. It was crazy. But anyway, but see, here's the thing. Here's the problem with that. We get these feelings and we're in the airport and we already we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And like, we're going to get everything situated and boom, boom. And then day goes by. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. So like Adriana said, the only way you're going to do it is if you just schedule the time with yourself to get it done. And that's the only way it's going to happen. And just do it. Like, we overthink things way too much, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty decisive. Sometimes I'm a little too quick to decide, and sometimes it doesn't pan out, and sometimes it pans out. But my risk has always been rewarding. Like, yeah, I've gone through some, but it's like, it's always been rewarding.
You've always been able to, like, even if you made a fast decision that didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, you always know how to maneuver to make it the best. Or to figure it out. That's the good thing about you, is that you're like, I'm going to figure it out. Like Lorenzo drives me nuts. Desiree's like, you're so mean. I'm like, no, I just don't understand how this man gets away with everything all the time. So I call him and I'm like, hey babe, you got to go pick up Madison because he's sleeping, right? So he's going to pick up Madison. And it's like 10 minutes before she gets out. Mind you, the first day I went to go pick her up, I was waiting in the line and I got there early, like 20 minutes before she got out of school, waiting in line for an hour to get to her. I get her and she's like, why'd you take so long? I'm like, and then she goes, where's daddy? I'm like, oh, you're rude. So yesterday I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be in the line for an hour. And I'm like, hey, call me when you pick her up. Tell me why not even 10 minutes later, he calls me and he's like, you know what the problem was? You were in the wrong line. I just got right through. And I'm like, that's how he is. And that's funny because it always works out for you too. Like, you make these decisions without really thinking about it. You're like, I'm just going to do it. And it's almost like you're living off like the edge of your seat. But like, because I think you all have so much faith.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
You make it happen. Like, and that's really what it is. And that's really what I lack sometimes. And Lorenzo has so much of that. He has so much faith, like, that it's always just going to work out.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it, babe. We're going to be okay. And I'm over here thinking like, oh my God, we're going to die. Oh my God. Like, all these horrible things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it is. I think it's because you have a lot of faith.
Yeah. So we were going on Belize, and they have this little pedal jumper, little plane thing, and it's tiny. It fits like 8 people. And I'm like a worst case scenario situation. So how I deal with anxiety and stress, and if you're dealing with anxiety, stress, or whatever, how I deal with it, I always think, what's my worst case scenario? And then I break it down from there. So Carmen's scared on the plane. She's like, oh my God, babe, I'm so scared. I can't even think about it. I'm not going to think about it. I said, okay, well, let's think about it. There's water underneath us. We're only about, we're not thousands of feet in the air. We're only about, let's say, hundreds of feet in the air, right? I say, so if we go down, plane still has to it's not going to just go boom. Well, we're on water. So if we go down, there's water underneath. So there's a high chance we could possibly survive this. And then by the time
you're very optimistic.
But by the time we know it, we're already there. So, but I always think, what's my worst case scenario? And can I control it? And if I can, then I do. And if I can't, I don't.
I think what you're doing is you're rationalizing it. So people are like, worst case scenario, like you said, it's a snowball. Like, so before you know it, you're like dead in the water. You're at a funeral. Everybody's crying. But you're thinking, okay, worst case scenario, we fall in the ocean or we fall in the water and we can swim.
Yeah.
So now there is the irrational thought of like, you're going to die because now the plane's going to crash.
Now, I try not to always look at the worst case scenario. I mean,
I look at the worst case scenario all the time.
I know there's one, but I try not to focus on it. I try to, I have faith that it's going to work out. And if it doesn't, then it's not the end of the world. There's another way. There's always that plan B. Instead of wasting so much time on, the disaster of my life or whatever, it's like, no, it's going to work out. Tomorrow's another day.
Same thing with the business, right? Like for those of you that are insurance agents or business owners listening, I don't ever think that this is not going to work. Like my mindset is, no, we're going to happen. I don't know exactly how or how many turns or little bumps in the road where it's going to take. It might be a lot of bump. It might be real bumpy. Caliche, those caliche roads. But I don't have any doubt we're not going to get there. If that makes sense. So like we might be sweating I always think about being in that long, what's that Devil's Valley or what's that road that like
in Florida,
when you're going to like Nevada or something, there's this long stretch,
the freeway,
Death Valley, where there's like no like water, gas stations. I always think as a business, like when you're driving through there, and then like that's kind of the road, but then eventually you're going to get there.
Well, I think you see the end goal. So that's where I try to get myself to. I think that's how I got through a lot of stuff is I see the end goal. The end goal is I want X. And I've heard this before where if you were to literally sit there and think about all the bad things that are going to happen and everything that's going to go wrong, then you've already talked yourself out of what you want and therefore you're not going to do it. So I think that's where there's this happy medium, right? When you always end up with somebody who's completely opposite from you, right? So I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic and I'm also worst case scenario. Lorenzo's like, babe, why do you worry about that? And I think in his head, he may have the same worries, but he doesn't ever say it. And he doesn't ever let me know. Like he doesn't ever show me. It doesn't look like he's stressed. And so for me, it's like, I'm learning to be more like that, to be like, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? If that happens, it's going to be fine.
She's holistic, optimistic, and realistic. You're a hoppy. All right, guys. This is the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining in. Rick is a dreamer. I'm a worrier. It always works out in the end. Yes, that's the way, which is weird because I'm both. I'm a dreamer and a worrier. I'm sure Rick worries, but he doesn't show his worry on his sleeve. I think that's the way we are. So I'm sure he does worry, right? Like our family's going to be supported, all that. But we are dreamers. I'm an absolute dreamer. Like I'm already thinking, babe, we need a private jet. There's no way we're going to be doing this or at least be able to fly private in the future with the team because I ain't doing this again.
Is nonsense.
And then now I got her spoiled. She's like, babe, I don't think it would be that bad if you think about it. If we split it between like 10, 14 people,
that's what I told you. Okay, we can split it. Yeah, I'll pay that much.
Yeah, exactly.
I want in on this.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining in Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We will see you.
Hey, real quick before we leave. you did something really great that I wish to continue. I think maybe on our own, but you donated the backpacks. So we had that back to school event.
Oh, that's right.
That I did last week with Maria Inez and with Zach. It was awesome. It was amazing. We partnered with the medical group. We partnered with the carrier, and you donated that. So I just want to say thank you because it was awesome. Well, I gave those on behalf of Victoria. We put together back to school backpacks for kids and school supplies that the carrier supplied, and one of the health groups we did a total of 100 backpacks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
thank you for that, because that was awesome.
Well, thank you, because honestly,
fall.
I don't take credit for that, because I just say, here's the credit card and y'all figure it out. So it's a team effort, because I'm like, okay, if I can give the credit card, but if nobody gets the stuff, then it's not going to happen. Adriana broke her back trying to make stuff happen. So yeah, we definitely want to continue to do that kind of stuff more often. If you guys have any ideas as far as like giveaways or things that can help the community, I'm all ears. I'm not the most creative person, so if there's like a charity that's near and dear to your heart, anything with kids always gets to me. Like, I'm just like, do it. Okay, do it. Like, take my money, just because like I just have I don't know, like seniors and kids, like they're the most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime it's seniors or children, I'm like, yes, do it. As long as it's affordable, right? Like, I can't just give away everything, but if I can, we definitely want to do it. So if there's any charities that are near and dear to your heart that y'all need something from us, let us know. We could put an event around it. We can get some of the insurance companies and medical groups to all pitch in. I know there was a lot of back to school events, including the ones we did with the medical group Health Texas, United Healthcare. So thank you to them too. And then anything that we can do, we're all ears to help whatever. And we're trying to be creative. So anything that is not already being done, we're even more ears on that. So let us know how we can help. Is there anything else that you guys want to add? Thank you for reminding me about that. Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
That's it.
Sylvia, that doesn't mean start a GoFundMe for your drinking.
For her $300 bottle of wine.
It was only 300.
Oh my God. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining in. I feel like it's Monday, but it's my Friday. Doesn't mean I haven't been working, though.
Is this the first Friday of the month?
No, the second Friday.
Oh, did y'all leave? Oh, well, y'all
y'all left because y'all weren't here.
Okay. All right. Thank you, San Antonio. Y'all have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
See you next Friday.